everybody, and welcome back to Bourbon Over Baseball with your host Bob and co-host Jeff today.
What up, everyone?
All right, we got another quick one for you guys to try to get back on the swing of things. I know we're both always busy, but we do have another one of the teams we haven't done yet. So let's get into it. Let's see if I can get the song going here.
Let's bash on the ass.
That's right.
Hey, you know what, everyone? Just, PSA, bashing is okay in today's world. In the COVID existence, everybody should be bashing. And
yeah.
No more handshakes. Even hitting the rock, probably not safe. You should be bashing. So I know that Big Mac and Jose are not on this team, but I think they would approve of that message. So.
I mean, and I couldn't find anything Oakland theme song. Everything seems to be really recent. Maybe obviously our listeners can tell us, but if not, I mean, I think that's three-run ho-ho.
Oh God! If anybody, I know this is not the first time I've said this. I know it just feels like, but if anybody has not watched the unauthorized Bash Brothers experience on Netflix or even listened to the album by The Lonely Island, go do that. As a baseball fan, you owe it to yourself. It's absolutely worth watching. It is bizarre, so it's worth watching.
So anyway, we are doing the Oakland Athletics for the Showdown team today. Let's go right into it. We have Kevin Ape here. Pretty typical here. We got the standard 3 control, 6 inning guy for around the 320 to 340 mark. That's a 16 out. This is sort of the guy you're always looking at here if you wanted this kind of player. I mean, obviously, I don't usually want to go for someone like this,
right?
But it is what it is. You could.
Right. No, I mean they're like I just did a blind draft this weekend, just a one-on-one with a couple buddies, and this type of pitcher shows up all the time. I think we've mentioned that before. It's like a pretty standard, and they're good. I mean, they're actually
this is like the typical average decent guy.
Right. Like I feel like getting them in a blind draft is great because like just having okay guys is kind of the model. Like if you get we know how many control zeros and in the set there are, and there's no 1 and 2s. So like getting a 3 is like thumbs up. I'm all right. I can work with that.
And this one has a decent ground ball range. Obviously, you wish that you had more walks, less singles, but this is very typical for this kind of person. I always did not like this picture. He's like not actually pitching at this exact moment. He's very confused.
Right. He's like looking for a sign, like he can't read it. I don't know. It's like
what is going on? So next up we have Eric Chavez. I believe that he was one of those guys I thought was gonna be really good during like the Moneyball type era.
Yeah, I mean he's kind of that, but I feel like part of Moneyball is like I just reread it. Funny enough, I know we have to every time we talk about the Athletics, you can't not bring it up, but I had read it like back in like 2015, 2016, definitely before I got into Showdown, kind of got a resurgence of interest in baseball and Showdown in general. So I reread it, just kind of looking at things a little different and kind of the ways I would apply it to Showdown. Like I'm going to probably end up trying to do my next team like true Moneyball. And I think part of that is like not a ton of defense and just really get some hitters that can go for power. Because like the one thing that book does overlook, which I know is just this is not a unique thought. People have said this, but it talks about what's his name? Like, Scott Hatterberg and I can't remember the sidearm guy, but those were just 2 players on that team. And like, there were so many, like that book barely brings up, Tejada, Giambi, like all of these guys that were just like total studs. And I think Chavez was part of that too.
Yeah, Giambi left before they got there. Oh, no, it's talking about Jeremy, his brother.
Jeremy was part of the package to try to replace what they lost.
Yeah, Chavez was the guy I thought that like, again, I watched the movie, I listened to the book. Again, I can't read, but I listened to the book, and I thought they were talking about Chavez being this like future star that was going to happen or something. I thought that was the guy. Maybe I'm thinking of a totally different guy.
They same thing with I think it was similar vibe for Terrence Long. Just like he was kind of their young star at the time, but wasn't super panning out where they wanted to. But so anyway, talking about this card, what I was trying to get to, like kind of where my mind was trying to get is that I think Moneyball, what I'm going to end up doing is like not much defense, just get some hitting and see what happens. Because I think that book tries to tell you that like trying to rate defensively is just really difficult. Like,
Hmm.
I love the whole concept that if you're putting yourself in a position to get an error, like, is that so bad? Right. Like, because you could just not get to the ball. And so, anyway, seeing like I don't know what the rest of the team is going to shake up, but, him being a pretty decent +3 third base, which doesn't, I don't think there's many +3 third bases or even +4. Like,
Well,
um,
there's no plus fours in the original.
right. So
We
like
did
this is
that with our set.
right. This is pretty damn good.
Yeah,
So
he just the only thing that sucks here really is he's C speed and he's a 7. But what's interesting is that with the 7, he's got a. I mean, that's probably why, but he's got the 15 double. So I just hate that he's a C speed here. I mean, he's for 210, you're not really grabbing him. You're still grabbing Mueller and other people over him. He's not gonna get drafted, but it's an interesting card.
yeah, I'm looking up right now to see who else. You're right. There's nobody above. There's a lot of +3
Yeah,
third base. Um,
just depends on what kind of guy you're looking for. This is
yeah.
not the guy usually you'd want, but I know everyone likes a Bill Mueller type person.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I mean, it just depends on what you're looking for. Next up, we got Ryan Christensen. He's actually gotten picked up just because he's only 70 points. But other than that, he's really not draftable. You don't want a 6 if you don't have to.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
great in general.
No, not great. I mean, decent bench guy, I guess. Like, it'd be great to sub him in for maybe for running for who
I
has a
mean,
speed.
and that's what sucks. He's got a speed beat. It's like you're not even getting.
Yeah, like
You're punting for no reason.
no. And I looked up our mini league. I know I reference that all the time, but we did 2000, 2001, 8 teams, so a decent sample size. But it's usually good to see who got picked even in that.
Mm-hmm.
And spoiler alert, nobody from this team got picked, which is kind of surprising because there are some studs on this team that I think do deserve attention. But so anyway, just kind of
Yeah.
all of these guys, at least in an 8-team format, didn't. But I think, of course, if you were to break it down, which I love the whole concept of doing maybe 8 teams doing one league, right? Doing the AL, NL in a particular
I'm
year.
excited to do that.
Right, same. So like that's where like no doubt, some of these guys are going to get tapped, and Chavez might get picked up because he has decent defense. Christensen's got, can sub in, but I don't know why you would ever do that. But
yeah,
anyway.
he's not somebody I'm looking at all.
No, I don't think he gets picked up. I think you're right, Bob.
Next up, we got the foil Jason Giambi. So this is obviously before he had the amazing 11 card in 2001, but this card was a monster walking card. The 5 through 10 walk. I remember him getting on base a lot in a lot of leagues just from walking, but not performing too well. But he's got a good card. He's got an 18 home run range, 16 double, 460s under the 500. He kind of sucks having C speed with no fielding at all. You're not really getting anything there, but it's not bad.
No, dude, I'm like actually like relooking at this card. Like I think his 11 kind of overshadows him.
Mm-hmm.
I've really kind of started taking a different look also at on base 10s and their value and like what they can provide for you. First base +0, who cares?
Yeah.
Speed C, sure, not great, but dude, like for less than 500 to get a 10 that it's doubling at 16, even homering at 18, like, and he's 1 through 4 out. I think that matters. Usually, a lot of these 10s are 1 through 5 out. I love this card. I mean, I have Santana, Carlos Santana, very similar type of card. He's +0 first. He's 13 speed, so which is C still. He's 470. But I think he's 19 to 20 home run. And like, I think he's like maybe 17, 18. I mean, this is a good card. This is a really, really good card. I'm actually surprised this didn't get picked up in our draft.
Me too, especially for being a very powerful card. Like like you said, the 1 through 4 out, it's not bad. Again, you start to encroach that 500 range, but I think it's him being nice under 500 is pretty valuable here. I just wish he wasn't C speed, but it
Right.
kind of is what it is.
Right. He was 422 on base, which is just badass.
Yeah.
And I've been ranting lately, getting in a lot of arguments in person and online, and I will go to my grave on this opinion. And this is the same thing with Carlos Santana on the current Indians. I mean, dude is batting like one. I mean, this is not applying to Jason Giambi, but Carlos Santana is batting like 170. Not great.
Mhm,
His on
mhm.
base is like almost 400. It's 400.
Yeah.
Like the guy walks like crazy. He gets on base, and like I feel like on base like is determining the batting order. I mean, if I had Jason Giambi on my team and he was my best player, he's batting one. I know it makes it as a leadoff man, it makes no freaking sense. But the guy is just going to get on base. He's going to walk and he's going to get on base. And I hope I have someone behind who can do their job and hit. You know,
Yeah.
so
It's
the
an
guy.
interesting Oakland Athletics team in general. You know, he had 33 homers, and like Tejada 21, Ben Grieve at 28, Matt Sears 38, John 35. It's like a lot of power on this team, and a handful of guys around the 300 range, if not obviously above, with like Velarde and Giambi. Very, very powerful team. So again, it's very surprising that no one drafted any card from this set.
I totally, and like these stats, you're absolutely right. I mean, they're also very consistent in how these guys pretty much stayed in the lineup the whole year.
Yeah.
3 guys hitting over 100 RBIs. Like, this is and I think in terms of showdown total points, just the base set, I think they're pretty average. So maybe some of those garbage guys are just pulling that number down. But
yeah.
So anyway,
next up, Ben Grieve. I've played with this card before, way back in the day. An 8 with 17 home run is pretty fun, but I mean, for 140 more points, you could have Jason Giambi. So I mean, it just seems like a no-brainer.
Right? He's funny. He just showed up. Our friend of the podcast, Kevin, and I were playing a blind draft, and he showed up and he was telling me stories about how like when he was younger and read sports articles on Ben Grieve, he was convinced that Ben Grieve was like the next coming of Jesus on the baseball field. Didn't get there, wasn't right, but so it's kind of funny story, but
he kind of stalled out during the Moneyball year, and
right.
So he went to he left. Okay, he left after 2000 and went to Tampa Bay, and then he kind of stalled out after that. I see what happened there. But he got Rookie of the Year in '98, so there was obviously a big hype about him, and he did really well in '99. This was probably this and the card after were like his best cards. So, but it's fun. He's a fun card. B speed, a lot of power, but
no, it's in an AL specific. Like for 2000, no question, he finds a team. At an 8 for 320 who can hit for power.
Would rather. I mean, if I had to look at just those two cards, Giambi, I'd rather spend the 140 extra on and get the actual power, like an actual pop. So.
Yep.
Next up, Buddy Groom. We got a reliever here. I actually don't mind this card at all. 3 for 120 gets me my 1 through 16 out. No doubles. Again, a lot of singles here, but you're talking about for 120 with relievers being weirdly priced in this league in the 2000 set. I don't mind him at all.
Right. And plus, I've always said I was helping with scanning in a lot of these cards, and so I was starting to kind of get reaccustomed with a lot of them.
Yeah.
Buddy Groom is like, one, that mustache is just wonderful. And 2, Buddy Groom is like the best baseball name. Like, it's just an all around, like, this, like, is just all of baseball. Like, this is showdown shit to me right here. So, but no, this is a great, a huge ground ball range.
Yeah, I think he's a great card, especially if you already stacked up with like 2 monster relievers and you didn't want to completely punt and go to like a 0 reliever.
Yep.
You're like, well, let me get a couple guys that are no doubles, that are 3s that aren't going to kill me. This is where I like to grab like Dan Plisak and Greg Swindell, something like that. Like you could find a Buddy Groom fitting in there pretty nicely.
Right, and like we've talked, I know we've said this before, but walks in showdown are like almost like if a single is worth 1 point, then a walk is like half a point. It's just weighted way differently. Playing the other day, guy on second and third, I walk. It almost felt like an out to the guy, like who I was pitching against.
Yeah.
And it did. I got out of the inning. Right, it's huge. So I will say I've been playing with some different people lately, and hearing their own house rules is kind of great. And one of them, which I really like, is that for just like in the same way you have not a reliever, but think of a starting pitcher. If you give up in our rules, if you give up 4 runs and then 2 runs and then 2 runs, that's when you start to lose IP and your control will eventually go down if you get there. On top of that, they also do that if you give up 4 walks, then you go down an IP, that you're getting these long, maybe you're just having a bad at bat, or maybe you're going deep into the count, which I think is interesting. So it's also this way of walks kind of being not as good as they are right now, right? Like you, as a pitcher, like if you're at 3 walks and you give up your 4th, like that's a big deal.
Oh yeah.
So it kind of
I know
tries to even.
Clutch has a thing where it's like walks or runs. Like if it sorry, it's not and. So like
Right.
I think it's 4 walks or 4 runs, and then they lose an IP. I think that's
And I
what it
think that's
is.
where this buddy kind of tweaked, like kind of stole it and tweaked it a little bit.
Yeah, it's nice.
So
I
anyway,
definitely like it. A lot of people don't like to keep track of all that stuff, but if your league's okay with that, it's a nice system. I think.
right, for sure.
Next up, Gil Heredia. So obviously a lot more are better than what we talked about earlier with the standard 3 from Apier, but this is one more control, and you lose the walk here to get the single, and it's 100 more points. It's a little rough, but this is about what a 4 control 1 through 16 out guy is.
It's tough because
I hate that there's 3 singles and a double. Like I think I'll just get wrecked.
No, I mean that's the thing is that Apier, like he's 1 through 16 out. Given he's less of a tier, but that 17 is a walk instead of a single.
Yeah.
And I'm giving up 1 control, but that's 100-point difference. Like if they were the same number of points, like of course I'm probably going to take Gil because I think that extra control is huge. But is that 100-point difference? Like I don't think it is.
Well,
Like
so the 100-point, yeah, I feel like an extra control is around 70 to 100 points depending on what else is happening.
Right.
But
so
I
maybe that's
like,
consistent.
But I feel like losing the walk, I feel like that should have been on the low end, like 70 points. You know what I mean? Like
right. He feels like at 410.
Yeah,
that would be about right.
400, 410. I mean, it's just. I don't know. I'm looking at this in a vacuum, but it just seems. I just don't. I wouldn't want this card. I know that I would get absolutely wrecked on the back end.
Yep.
Because as you were just talking about, this is the last person, you were saying walks are like outs in a sense. Well, here I am. Would love to be getting up 17 walk or 17, 18 walk, but instead I'm just getting single. People are just moving around the bases constantly. I would just get wrecked. I know I would.
Yeah, this is kind of related, but one other house rule that the buddy that was playing, that I think we should adopt. We play the mistake pitch, where if the pitcher rolls a 1, the batter gets a 24-sided die, right? So in general, the way our rules have kind of leaned is that it gives the batter a slight advantage over time.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine because more scoring, more fun. Who gives a shit? It's basically our version of the juiced ball, which was this year or last year. So the alternative, or kind of the inverse of it, which I've been trying to toy with, is like what happens if the pitcher rolls a 20, right? A 20 means they just had a nasty ass pitch, right? And so what this guy does is that instead of I was thinking a 16-sided die. That's probably too restrictive because who's going to get on base with a 16-sided die? Like you literally couldn't against Gil. But the rule that we did is that it's -1 on the batter's swing. Yeah. So which mattered. It happened where if it was Gil's case, if he rolled a 20, the batter rolls a 17. Well, shit, that just became a 16, and that's an out. Like it's enough of a little tweak to kind of and it's nice how it's universal.
Well, I think it's nice that you use the same dice. Like it just goes really quickly and smoothly.
Totally.
And, I mean, clutch was the reason I got that idea of the mistake pitch. They had this the mistake zone. Basically, some pitchers had a mistake pitch as a 1. Some was like a 1-2. Some could be like a 1-2-3. I like it, and again, I like to play D&D a lot. So like critical failure is a 1, critical success is a 20. So if you think about if you're the pitcher and you critical failed your pitch, they're gonna probably smoke it on you. And if you critically successed it, you got them good. So I like that it is. I like that rule because it was very efficient. Boom! I rolled a 20. Hell yeah! Obviously, there's no way you lost. Unless I guess you were somehow minus 16 pitcher or something ridiculous. But you automatically got it. You're super pumped about it. Now they got the minus to them. I think it's a really smooth idea.
Right, and I think especially if a pitcher has a 20. At least the worst thing that can happen is like a single, right? It's like just a little change. And so,
I think that's great. I really enjoyed it. I think it really takes advantage of that critical success, which again I like in D&D because when you roll that 20, it really means something fun's gonna happen. And when you rolled that 1, I mean, and you know this because you're in my league, but you're like, fuck, they're grabbing that D24 and they're gonna roll this thing. You're like, I fucking hope this doesn't hurt me too bad here.
Right.
And speaking of idea.
Right. Speaking of the mistake pitch, and I know we got to move on to the next guy, but I'm going to start keeping track in our league, in your and I's league, about how much the mistake pitch shows up per game, and just like, and then one thing I'm also going to start doing is trying to just like see how much defense matters. But anyway, it's I really want to start, especially with the mistake pitch. We noticed with the 3-game series I played already that it doesn't show up as much as it should. I know in a large
5%
scale,
of the time.
right? If you take a step back, I'm sure over the course of every single game I've played and every single pitch I've made, I'm sure it showed up 5% of the time. But we all know that in single games, it shows up none or it shows up 5 times. But it was definitely showing up way less than 5% of the time in the 3 games I played. So I want to start getting a gauge of like how many batters am I facing? How often does it show up? Like just like little interesting things. Like it should, I know statistically it should show up, but like in actuality, what happens?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, there's like 52 minimum pitches that could be thrown from both pitchers with like a solo shot home run, and
Right.
that means that, you know, if that's 5% of the time, that should happen at least 2.5 times per game.
Exactly. It was like, I think in the, like, of course, like a perfect game would be, you know, that's what, 27 pitches,
Yeah,
or
27.
27 in pitches in Showdown. That, like, even that says it should show up 1.5.
It should be,
and
no,
like
at least one time for sure. Yeah,
right.
1.5.
And
Yeah.
in our games, it was showing up like almost like it was less than 2 times.
Yeah.
And there was definitely more than 27 or 30.
Though some people in our league would tell you that they get wrecked by it like 6 times in one game. So I'm sure there's outliers.
That's what I see. That's the thing. And that's what I want to like prove that like,
Yeah.
or like also I'm keeping track of my team throwing a 1 on me or me throwing a 1.
Correct.
So I can definitively say statistically at the end of the year, the mistake pitch fucked me. Right.
Yeah.
Like that's what I want to say is that like the mistake pitch showed up against me like 2.5 times while I only got it 2.
Are you keeping track of what your games are when you roll the orange dice versus what games are not orange dice related?
Yeah. No, my basic. Speaking of the cheating dice in the trash can, this leads well into our next card. So
all right, next one up, we have AJ Hinch. Which I like that. That was a nice segue.
I know that worked out really
very well.
That wasn't planned.
So it's an interesting card here because again, this is you hate that you get an on base 5, and then he's a catcher 5, so that's like below average, but it's weirdly ton of pop and like A speed, which is not many A speed catchers. So it's a very weird card. You're probably not going for it. I mean, I wouldn't because again, he's a 5, and if I'm punting, I want arm strength. But
Right.
to your expense, or to depends on your league, because if you don't have a lot of stolen bases, then it don't really matter that much. Like if you we do 3, and I've been trying to figure out how to change that. So it's like, okay, so they get 3 stolen bases a game. I don't care. So punt my arm, punt my on base. But then I feel like it's rough here because he's 180 points, and the reason he's 180 is because his home run range is so high, but he's never gonna get charted to get it. So it's just I would not spend 180 on this card.
No, definitely not 180. I mean, I think in a blind draft situation, it'd be a lot fun to, to pinch hit if it depends if there's a 0 guy in, 0 control.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Throw him in. Let's see what happens. But
that's right. See if he knows what pitch is coming.
I don't know if anybody would actually draft this guy for that. I mean, yeah. He's a 9 hitter. I mean, hopefully, he can get on base. You could steal, lead into your 1 hitter. I don't know. It's just it's very situational.
Next up is we didn't talk about so it's John Jaha, but I thought you had mentioned that that Giambi was not an all-star.
No, I didn't say. I was looking on the page. I couldn't freaking believe this, but Giambi was not an all-star on this team. I literally could not believe that. He had I'm gonna check right now, but I think he had like a 6 WAR.
He led the team. I know that.
Yeah. He was definitely the highest, no question.
5.9. There it is.
And John Jaha was second. But for whatever reason, maybe just because he was specifically a DH almost the entire season, he showed up as a first baseman 8 times. Maybe that's why that he fit a spot that the AL needed. I don't know, but he was an all-star. Giambi was not. And this also brings up this card is interesting, and really the whole concept of the DH card. I've changed my mind on quite a lot lately.
Really?
Yeah, I have, because I've gone through every card over the past 3 weeks because I was scanning them all, for my own, for this repository, and the DHs I've noticed, and for good reason, are way undervalued. Right now, I get it that they're not flexible. They have to fit into a very specific spot that you usually want to use for flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, some of them rock. I mean, look at this. Like this guy, I'm just saying for 400, he's at 10 that homers at 18. He's only 1 through 4 out. I know it's a crazy walk range, but he's 400 points.
Yeah.
Like what? Like, I mean, most of the lowest 10 guys we've talked about.
This guy looks like he should be in the Bash Brothers video too. He looks
oh,
like a
yeah.
fucking monster.
This is the second. Him and Giambi are like basically the second like version of the Bash Brothers.
This guy looks like his upper body is so big.
Dude, yeah. There's definitely some prescription drugs, that were definitely given by a doctor.
Well, I'm wondering if anyone else could tell us, maybe that is more familiar with Oakland, why maybe Giambi didn't get an All-Star and Jaha did. It is interesting because Giambi finished 8th in MVP voting, and it could have been Giambi had a slow start to the season and had a great ending that I don't know, because like Giambi was like 8th MVP, then he finished first next year. I mean, he was a stud. Now the year before he wasn't that bad either, so it's not like no one knew who he was. It's just interesting that Jaha got it and he didn't. And then back to your DH point, I guess 400 points, but what I don't like, well, I guess it doesn't matter, because it's like what I don't like is you're restricting him to DH. But how many times do you move a guy around in your league?
Right. No, like, I get you.
Once you got the DH guy, you're like, he's never moving around. It's just that if what's good about DH is I can put anybody there. So once I'm looking at my quote unquote utility spot, it's who do I actually want? Is this the guy I want? A C speed that homers at 18? Maybe. I don't know. He walks a lot here. I don't really like him, but and obviously I would much rather take 60 more points and get Giambi, who's got another double and less walks.
I would get them both. Honestly, like
Bash Brothers
for 860 to get those two guys with 10s, like going.
Yeah, but your team would be a truck. You better get some A speeds on there.
Yeah, they're probably my 1-2, which I know is weird. And it's crazy. I'm looking up his stats now. He pretty much.
So then you would have Jaha batting first because his walk range is higher.
Yeah, I would probably.
And that would feel nice with Giambi backing him up, because he would be able to hit him in more often.
It's crazy. He had he was the in this year he was the American League Comeback Player of the Year.
Well, yeah, the year before he had terrible. Well, he got he must have been hurt 2 years in a row for Milwaukee and.
He had like no
years.
games.
Yeah.
He played a lot in '96. He had 148 or 636 plate appearances then. Then he had 570 with Oakland. He had almost none of in '97, '98. He didn't have that many combined.
Yeah.
And then in whatever reason in 2000, 2001 he fell off the map, and that's where I was just kind of looking.
He got hurt again or something. He only played 33 games. He had to have gotten hurt.
It looks like and it's he was a popular guy in the clubhouse. Like he got standing ovations like from his teammates. Like anyway, really interesting. Like I would really love to hear from people, especially Oakland people, that like what is the legacy of this guy? Just because like this card, like just not even based on this card, it looks like he just had a very interesting, bizarre, all over the place career.
I mean, back in the day when I was playing Showdown, I loved anybody that was a 10. I'm like, John Jaha, you're my hero. He's a 10. I don't give a shit who he is. Like,
yeah, no, same.
Because I never heard him. I heard of Giambi because, and actually it was, I felt like it was really cool to see the 10s that weren't foils. Like, how did this guy get a 10 and not get a foil? Oh my God, who is he? Who are these John Olerud type people?
Dude, hell yeah.
Next up, Doug Jones. Another person needs to be an Indian too. So this is a guy like earlier we talked about with the 16 no double. This guy's got the same points as Buddy Groom, but the extra out. But then he gives it the double. What I don't like here is the no walks, and that's why I think he hurts you.
Yeah, he had the most innings on this
this guy's got a fierce beard. I mean, like goatee thing. Thing's really
he
grown
looks great. Dude, he had 104 innings pitched. Next reliever behind him was 70. Wow. This guy was a workhorse. I mean, he came in and his whip was 1.25. Like that's pretty badass. Like
it's not bad. It's not too. No, you wish he was under 1, but you're talking about like an average guy. That looks like that's what hurt him the most was their like ERAs and whips like weren't that good.
They eventually, I mean, we all know ended up later on or a few years from this point having just one of the best. One of the best pitching staffs in the league. It's not there yet, but it's kind of getting there.
Yeah.
So,
next up we have Omar Alvarez.
Yeah.
So again, we just talked about typical starter. So this is basically Kevin Appier again.
It's the same. It's a little different. The ground balls,
ground ball range. So,
but right.
Yeah. So got a nice smile.
Yeah, he looks good. It's a good pick. I'm into it. Move on, right?
Next up, Mr. Utility Man Tony Phillips. So interesting card here. You got the extra outfield flexibility with the +2 kind of shadiness, not shadiness, low range on the second base, but he's an 8.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But it weirdly like crazy chart, like single pluses, doubles, triples. Got a couple home runs on here.
Look at the walk.
Yeah, very interesting
Holy
card.
smokes.
Yeah. So
this team just walked.
Yeah.
It seems like I'm like, I want to see the numbers like just sorted. Yeah. Oh my God, dude. That's just a ton of walks.
He had 71 walks in 100 games. So he's basically almost walking every game that he played. Getting at least one walk, which is pretty damn impressive. If you think about it, like the guy led the team was Jambi, who had 105 and 158. So again, it's pretty nice. It's obviously under still, but almost a walk a game, which is what Jambi and John Jaha were doing, which is pretty nice if you want that.
Right. Right.
Solid card, not great, not terrible. I don't know if I'd want to send 300 on him, but it's all right.
It's yeah. I guess you're spending the extra for just the flexibility.
Yeah, and this chart's nice. I mean, it's a good chart.
Right. It's a very bizarre chart. I just the 13. Basically how many? That's 8 rolls of walk. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. It's just like you got to find the balance. Like you can't just have that. Like if this guy's in your like 6th spot, like hey, yeah, I'm good with it. Like get him on base. Like I don't think there's any harm there. But
yeah,
it's still 300 feels like a lot.
Yeah,
so
I agree. Next up, Big Matt Stairs. This is the guy that led the team in home runs with 38. And this is the kind of guy you really like. So like Ben Grieve was nice with 17 home run. Now you get the guy with the 16 home run. So this guy is killing it at your 3-hole or your 4-hole on your team. And not bad. 360. He's got B speed, walks a lot, and just like I said, ton of pop. If you get the advantage, this is what you want.
Ooh, yeah, he can. I mean, you just can tell he's wrecking the ball in this picture.
Oh, like, for sure.
It's just like it's so funny because like this team is so fundamentally different from like the 2002 like team that we the Moneyball team we all know. Like there's like 4 dudes who can just fucking wreck the ball and like they were.
Well, I'm wondering if because they just came off the McGuire Canseco era, like they wanted it. They looked for those guys. Maybe steroids are still flowing around on the team a little bit.
Right. Like there's multiple versions of the Bash Brothers on this team. Like they couldn't help themselves, like these guys are like ripping out of their jerseys with their arms,
Next up we have Miguel Tejada. So he was a stud. Not so much in this year, but I think it was the following year.
His. Oh man, it's 2002 or 1 card? I can't remember.
When did he get? Didn't he get MVP one year? Yeah, he got it in 2002. Okay, that team is when he got MVP. That's why I remember now. So he had 204 hits, batted 308, had 34 homers. I mean, obviously in this year it's 21 homers, but he then just explodes. 30 the next year, 31, 34. Does a good job with Baltimore for a little bit too. But this card, besides the pretty impressive chart, 11 single, 14 single plus here, it's all right. I rather have this on Tony Phillips for 80 less points, but you're gonna lose it on base. I'd still rather have it.
Yeah, I'd probably pay the extra 80 weirdly, but yeah, it's good. I mean, his 2001 card is almost the same, or it's a little better. Yeah. It's definitely a little better, but it's not at that. It didn't get to that all-star level yet. But yeah, we all know he just became a stud. Like this is just early on, and he was around for forever. But that one to 3 ground ball is pretty horrible on your own chart.
Now that I'm looking at that,
that's just
I
the
hate
worst
when that happens. That would almost. I bet I would pick this guy up to play with him, and then after I got like 3 ground ball outs in a row, like in a couple games, I'd be like, get rid of this fucking guy.
Yeah, you just like drop him. I mean, he's like this guy is towards the end of your lineup
like
anyway.
All the time. He like had 162 games like multiple times. Like he like never got hurt. It must not until the end of his career. He played a lot.
What was his last year in the MLB?
It said 2011 for the Giants.
Wow.
Wait, no, I lied. He took a year off or something, and then came back 2013 for the Royals.
Wow. Yeah, that's a hell of a career, man.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's with so many players that are like definitely forgotten in the Showdown era. Like it's fun seeing these like first versions of guys that just like became total studs forever. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, like, Ortiz has a 2000 card. Like, it's not good. Pujols shows up in 2001. It's like barely anything. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, it's really fun. And then like, but nobody really remembers John Jaha, right? Like, it's just like this really bizarre,
Well,
like,
I bet the Brewers fan. Well, he was ending his career at Oakland, but the Brewers fans probably loved him from '96.
yeah. Oh my God. He was super good that year.
So
So
next up, Randy Velarde in our foil. This card, a lot of people like playing. You got the 9 on base, which is excellent. A speed, awesome. You got plus fielding here. 380 is not bad, and he hits a lot of the chart. I don't like the ground ball range, but it's not as bad as what we just talked about with Tejada. People love this card. They pick up all the time.
dude, I always say, like, I'm batting my best player first, but I will adjust if I think the right player fits that spot, and Randy Velarde fits that one spot. I mean, this team was just bonkers if you had them. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
Velarde,
surprised this guy of all people didn't get picked up in our league because he
right? I
gets
can't
picked up
believe
a
that.
lot.
Like, Velarde, like, he is the lead. He is the ultimate leadoff guy. And second place +4 is also pretty badass.
Yeah.
Dude, I know, like, I don't love like single plus at 17, but that's a great single range. Dude, him leading off. Probably what I would probably have Giambi second,
Yep.
like Jaha third, Stairs fourth. Like, it's a
I
crazy lineup. Like,
yeah, I would for sure. I mean, it's interesting also, like, for him to go in 2001, he goes down to an 8 and a B speed, but then he drops like almost 200 points. And I actually like his 2001 card almost better because it just seems more valuable. But and it's also funny, his picture looks so eerily similar. Like, he just fields the ball the same way all the time, which is excellent. But I know people pick up this card a lot. I think he has a pennant run. Maybe he does, or I can't remember. Someone else can correct me on that. I thought he had a pennant run. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, he plays on the Rangers, and so he goes a 210-point player. But yeah, everyone, I feel like a lot of people picked this card up. I'm surprised he didn't get drafted.
right.
Next up, Rich Becker. So this is the error, isn't it? This is the one that people talk about. So this is now we're into the pennant run, everybody. And this is the card that was supposed to be a 10. I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
So he comes over to Oakland, and in 99, he had an on base of 395. So that could be a 9 or a 10. Oh wait, that's not combined.
I think you're right. Like, I'm looking it up on. I just found a post on. I want to see whether our boy. What's that? Yeah, our boy Boschwack, shout out, mentioned that, yeah, he should have been an on-base 10, which is totally right, because, like, this guy
it just
is
depends.
horrible.
I mean, it seems like there's stuff's all over the place. I mean, like, so you have, like, Randy Velarde had an on-base of 401 and was a 9. So, like, you could argue then Velarde needed to be a 10 as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I thought over 400 meant that they were...
Yeah, usually the 400 was the line. Now, I had thought that they had come out and said, or someone had found out that this was supposed to be a 10. I could easily see him be a 9. There's no way he should be a 7, because when you look at this card, you go, he's a 360.7, and he has nothing. His chart's like look at, you were talking about walk range. Look at that walk range, Jeff.
Yeah, oh my God, dude. Yeah,
but,
this team is just full of big boys who walk. Oh my God.
This guy's got a fat ass on him, too.
Yeah, they all came out of, like, they all got Whoppers at Burger King, and then just went and played baseball and got walked.
So I would argue this guy should be a 9. But if they said he was a 10, I'd buy it too. You just know that you're not drafting this card as a 7 in any league, because he's not worth the 360 points as a 7. So know that people listening, is probably supposed to be a 9 or a 10. Then he becomes actually sort of valuable towards his card. So
it's so funny.
Errors.
looking at the errata, errata, is that how you say that? I don't think I've ever said that word out loud.
Let me tell you how to pronounce something, Jeff.
Yeah, I like it. That was a good reverse, kind of a good role reversal. The things that are wrong with the base are pretty minor. Like, there's one promo that's wrong. Most of it is that the pitchers had one of them was left-handed and he should have been right-handed, and vice versa. Pennant run, I don't know what the fuck happened, but they fucked up so many things.
I'm sure they fired half their employees and said, get this set out soon.
Like, Saber, I know this, like, Juan Guzman is 400 points instead of 40. The Rich Becker, Jeffrey Hammonds is an OB8. I remember the Tom Goodwin, I think, is the one that has it doesn't add up. Like, there's a roll missing. Like, there's like 6 like legit mistakes here. Saberhagen is 530. I think he shows up as, what does he show up? I can't remember off the top of my head. But that's another. I remember that's another mess up. So I don't know what happened.
Next up, Ramon Hernandez. So another catcher with a +5 arm. This one's got the C speed. Still a little bit of pop, but this one at least gives you the 7. I don't want either one of these catchers on this team.
No, I'm good. Yeah, it's just it's fine if you get them in a draft, but nah.
Next up, the foil pennant run. Now this is then I get big Mr. Tim Hudson, who ends up being, I think, is he a foil in the next set too in 2001?
He is a foil in the next year.
He's a 3. He's a 440, 440
Yeah,
3. But this card's pretty awesome. I actually think the picture itself, even though his neck looks really long, it's a super sweet card.
Yeah.
I have this, and it's I thought the green foil always looked really sharp. Just a standard though, 5 control, 1 through 15 out guy. This is like the standard, David Cone type card here.
It really is. It basically is. And David, how much? Those are 460, so something's got to be a little different here.
Yeah,
But these guys, you know what? Like it's almost like they come up so often that you just kind of look at them and discount them and see like, yeah, they're fine. No, these guys do damage. Like they really shut people down, and you'd be surprised. So, if someone's going to walk up and just roll 18 straight, like there's nothing you can really do to stop that. But that's going to happen with almost any player. So. So anyway, yeah, I love the green foils. I think the Athletic, any team that doesn't have red blue, I'm cool with it. Like they just look great. And these foils, I've always said that these and the Marlins are 2 of the best looking foils, just because that green really pops on with the foil.
So he has 1 more ground ball out than Cone, and so I don't think he should be worth 20 more points.
No, hell no.
But he is worth. But basically, that's what it is. They have the same strikeout range. I guess he has more pop-ups, which could be nice to not have people move around the bases.
Right.
And then Cone has a lot of fly balls, which could move people, score them. But other than that, their walk to double range is all the same. It's under 500 points is kind of what you're looking for. Greg Maddux is the one that's the 7-inning pitcher, but then he gives up no walks. So, again, 480, 460, somewhere in that range is this kind of player. I just think it's cool to play Tim Hudson. That's me personally.
Right.
Next up, Jason Ingrenhauser. I thought it was
or Ingrenhausen.
Yeah, Ingrenhausen. Closer here, 3 for 140, 1 through 16 out. Seems a little pricey again with the closer bonus here, because we just had Buddy Groom, who was a 3 that did the same exact thing with no doubles for 120. So you'd much rather have him. I don't get this, obviously, other than the closer bonus itself, making him a 140. Just I would not spend it on this guy.
Yeah, he shows up often. His 2001 card, I think I remember, is pretty good. But yeah, he's fine. I mean, he was actually, again, he shows up in that Moneyball book all the time as being kind of shut out. But I never thought that his cards really reflected.
Oh yeah, in 2001, he's a stud.
Yeah, he's really good.
Oh yeah, I'm just looking at it. Well, he's a 1 through 14 out guy, so it's kind of interesting. But no doubles. He's a 6. Much better than this version. But and he changed his uniform number. Yeah, I don't. Just not worth it for this one. Next up with this threw me off because the jersey change.
Dude, I'm literally looking that up right now.
I was am I looking at just like a spring training, like the logo, the arm patch change, the color change? I thought I was looking at the wrong card.
Because I see there's an alternate uniform. I think that their spring training was always different.
Is this green? I can't tell in the picture. Or is it black?
I think it's black. I think they did black with like almost like a teal like wording.
Yeah.
Like a teal like language, but like it's something. I'm opening up the logo, but they have I didn't know this. Like I'm sure I'll get ripped for this, but I didn't know that most of their logos had that elephant on top.
Oh yeah, that's the athletic elephant. Yeah, it's elephant.
Yeah, I just never do that. So like that's kind of that's on his patch right there.
Yeah, I knew that. I mean, I have some hats with the elephant on it.
That's a great logo. I can't believe I never knew that.
And this card's not bad. So we talked about Buddy Groom earlier being the 3 1 through 16. No doubles. I know Doug Jones 3 1 through 17. But 4 1 through 16 for 130, so for 10 more points, not bad. Wish he had another walk and not one less single maybe, but for 130, I don't think you're too upset with this. Again, you're not. This is the guy you're going for, but as a mid-tier guy that you need an extra guy, it's not going to hurt you. A 4 1 through 16 out, it's pretty solid.
Right, I absolutely agree. And I looked up that logo on his jersey. or on the sleeve is a century of A's baseball,
Ooh.
1901 to 2000, Philadelphia, Kansas City, and then the Oakland Athletics, which is pretty interesting. That's a really cool. That's
the other reason why. That's what I'm telling you. I can't believe I couldn't find like a good theme song. That's why I'm like, I don't know if the YouTube didn't post it, because I'm like, they've been playing forever.
And like, does it look like? I'm trying to see. It looks like it's hat. It's like, it just looks like it's black with white trim. So I don't think it's I don't think it's the alternate. I think it was some spring training variant, but their alternate jerseys in that year in 2000 were like this black with this teal. Go look it up. It's really bizarre. It's anyway. I was not expecting that.
And last up we have Almedo Sands. Anyway.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you that one.
Almedo.
I'm not opening up the pronunciation thing. That doc takes forever to load, even though it's very useful.
So yeah, it's solid here for an 8. Got the third base +1, first base flexibility. Because if depending on what league you're playing, how much minus you're doing for playing first base out of position, he can slide over. A lot of doubles, a lot of power.
Great chart.
Yeah,
great chart.
Pretty solid for 320.
Dude, 1 through 3 out, only one ground ball, double at 15.
I think he's very solid.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't think I've ever paid attention or seen this card before, and I'm kind of like, this is pretty great. Like for 3, I mean, compared to Tony Phillips, take this card.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think he's 20 more points, but I think he's got more pop. So that's why I think you'd want that.
Right.
Wait, what the heck? Okay. Yeah, I was. Anyways, I just want to see how long he played for. He played from '94 to 2007, off and on randomly. Like he played '94 and then didn't play again until '99. Then he played for the Dodgers for a little bit, but had a decent year. The year after he had he didn't play full season, so it's hard to tell. As he had a 401 on base percentage, but didn't play a whole season. So that kind of is a little bit rough, but yeah, I don't know. Solid card.
Yeah, I would say this card, like this whole team, like I mean, there's a lot of average.
Yeah,
there's definitely. I think maybe coming off of that Angels one we did, where like everybody was just horrible. Maybe we're just skewed a bit, but man, like there's definitely some like shining star showdown players on this, and like I've always thought this team was a lot of fun to play with, and it holds up just kind of re-examining them.
Yeah, I would definitely think that this would be a fun team to play in. Like if you had like you had to play with the Oakland Athletics. I think another thing would be cool to play, Jeff, would be like you had to have 2 teams from 2000 pennant, and you had to like combine them into one team.
Yep.
And that was like your full team, including like bench players, maybe team, people in the quote unquote minors. And if you play like injuries, you could be like cycling guys in and out. It'd be fun. This would be one of those teams that'd be kind of fun to have, because you got a handful of 10s, some solid bats, lots of walks. You just would hopefully get your counter team would be a pitching team, because they don't have any pitching.
Yeah, it's like, it's fine. Like, I mean, if you think about it, if like your starting 5 is, I guess Tim, if you're considering Tim in that, going Tim Gill, Kevin Appier, and I'm trying to remember the 4th guy, like that's not bad. That's, I mean, if Appier is your 3 or 4, like that's or Appier, that's fine.
Yeah,
that's actually,
you could
dude, if your 3 or 4 is like a 0 guy or 1,
they just don't have like a stud reliever or anything like that to bring in to shut it down. Like
they're all middling.
Yeah.
Right.
Their whole team seems to be like just like average and above.
Right, which is like, but I feel like that in Showdown world kind of is okay.
Yeah.
Like that kind of works its magic. So anyway.
So yeah, that's the Athletics, and pretty exciting. I don't remember who we have up next, but obviously stay tuned, people. I think we're going sort of in alphabetical order. I know some people were asking where the Cubs are at, where's the Mariners are at.
We've got a few left. We're almost done.
We're chugging through them. Don't worry, everybody. Again, we're just going in alphabetical order now, just to make it fast and easy. And also so we don't miss anything, because I keep forgetting. Like as we jumped around for people's requests, I had this fear that we're gonna miss a team.
Right.
So I definitely want to make sure that we just kind of go through in order and make sure we hit everybody. So, all right. Thank you, Jeff, for being here.
All right. Bye.
Have a good one, everybody.